Hello again, everybody. Here's a nice little game from 1925 that was played in Helsinki with Book with the white pieces and Heidenheimo with the black. And it goes like this: e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop c4, and now black takes off the e-pawn with his knight, expecting white, of course, to recapture with his knight, and then black would play d5, regaining the piece. But instead, white brings out his queen to h5, attacking the f7 square. So black brings his knight back to g5, protecting the f7 square. White now plays his pawn to d4, threatening, of course, to capture the knight, and then, of course, attack f7 again. So black decides to block off the f7 pawn by playing his knight to e6. But white hits at the knight again by playing the pawn to d5. But now black decides to counterattack, and he plays his g-pawn to g6, hitting at the queen. And it's at this point that white makes a very surprising move that sends the black king on a very long journey. And if you'd like to pause the video and see if you can see that move, I'll wait for you. Well, believe it or not, white decides to ignore the attack on his queen, and he plays d takes e6. And black, not surprisingly, takes the queen at h5. But now, here begins the journey of the black king. White plays e takes f7, check, and the king has to move to e7. And now white's bishop comes in at g5 with check, and the king now moves to d6. And now white actually gets to castle queenside and give check at the same time. And now the king moves to c5, attacking white's bishop. But apparently white decides he's willing to give black the bishop, and he plays rook to d5, check. And sure enough, the king takes the bishop at c4. And now white plays the b-pawn up to b3, check. Now, at this point, black cannot take the knight at c3, because if he does, white simply plays bishop to d2, checkmate. So, he has to move his king to b4. And now white simply swings his rook over to b5 with check, and once again, black cannot take the knight at c3, because if he does, then white simply plays knight e2, checkmate. So, after the check from the rook at b5, the king's only square is a3. And now white plays the knight to b1, check. And once again, the king only has one square. He has to take the pawn at a2. And now the white rook simply swings over to a5 with check. And now all black can do is make one pathetic block with his bishop at a3, and giving check at the same time, ironically. But then white simply takes the bishop at a3, checkmate. That's 9 checks in a row, people. And you'll notice that black's queenside never even made a move. Oh well. I hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll see you next time.